what is apathy? Apathy is when you just don't care anymore, when things just don't matter. These people who are apathetic, they do not understand empathy. They do not have emotions in that sense. They don't. It means them loving themselves, and if you're in the way, you're just an obstacle. You know what to say, how to say. They can get anything from you. They will suck you dry as if they're a vampire and you're just some person that can't defend themselves. Greetings, everybody. Welcome back to the FCS Prep Podcast, where I am your host, Dr. Keith Fairclough, and we are back again today talking about ultimate desire. Listen, I have to apologize because I ended the series too soon. But I am back to tell you about the third path that comes with rejection. But before we do anything else, you already know what time it is. We gotta do that housekeeping, like, comment, subscribe, put the notification bell on. Listen, I appreciate you guys sharing this. I appreciate you all showing up. Please share it with someone you think can benefit from these messages. Listen, we are here to improve the world, and we do it by improving ourselves. And this podcast is about real change right now. Talk about ultimate desire, right? We all have this ultimate desire that we want to be loved, we want to be accepted, right? We want to get that unconditional love, that unconditional positive regard, right? And we know that you can't earn it, you can't do anything to get it. You can learn to communicate with someone, so it makes it easier to get. That's the bridge to unconditional love, but you cannot earn it. You cannot earn it. There's nothing you can do. There's no amount of money you can pay. There's no many favors you could do. You cannot earn unconditional love. Otherwise, it's conditional, right? So what happens, right? So how do we get to the point where we try to earn it, right? We end up becoming rejected. Something happens to us where we get rejected. That rejection leads to hurt. Nobody likes rejection. The reason why is because rejection is you personally getting rejected. We talked about this in previous podcasts, but I'm just doing a quick overview. So when we are rejected, right, we are kind of essentially cut off from unconditional love, unconditional positive regard, then we get hurt. And then when we get hurt and it becomes unresolved, then that's when we have an issue, right? That's when the problems start to rise. And so we started talking about some of the paths that arise from the hurt that it's experienced from rejection. So one of them was anger. We talked about that in a previous podcast and all that goes along with that, the yelling, the screaming, the fighting, the tearing things apart, like all that stuff, right? The physical manifestation of it, the danger it has to our body, all that. We talked about that, the anger path, right? It's trying to get out. It's trying to press your claim to make sure that people hear you, understand you, see you, and will give you that acceptance and unconditional love. Unfortunately, anger does not produce that. It actually pushes people away or makes them very combative with you. Then there's the other path, the path of sadness, right? Not really much better, right? Sadness is when we can become depressed, when we become sad, we become recluse, right? We've tried to reach out, but we keep getting smacked away, right? So we're not pressing our claim in this way. We're actually backing off because we don't feel we're good enough. We start adopting beliefs that we're not good enough. We don't deserve it. We don't deserve to be loved unconditionally. We don't deserve to have that unconditional positive regard. And so then we start getting into a lot of risky behaviors, start doing things that can cause us damage, right? We start engaging, possibly like self-deprecating thoughts and words. We start self-harming. We engage in risky behaviors. Some people commit suicide. There's substance abuse. There's a whole lot of things that go along with that path of sadness. And so that's the second path. Now for the third path. I know you're thinking like, man, there's a third path? Yes, there's a third path. And it hit me because I was in session the other day and I was talking with one of my clients and we were talking about it, and then the word apathy came up. I was like, dang. Apathy is the third path. Apathy is the path, one of the paths that we take when we're rejected and we're hurt. And I will say this, guys, apathy is the most dangerous path for us to go down when we've been rejected and we've been hurt. And I'm going to explain to you why. But first and foremost, what is apathy? Apathy is when you just don't care anymore, when things just don't matter. But in this case, we're talking about emotions. We're talking about feelings. And so what happens is someone on this path, right? Someone has been rejected, just like everybody else. They've been rejected. They've been hurt. And now they start to make decisions. Now they start to say, because if it's not dealt with, like in any of the other paths and it goes down that way, they say, dang, I'm hurt. No one's coming to help. No one cares. I reached out and no one cares. I get the game now. I get the system now, right? I'm not crying anymore. I'm not angry anymore. This is the way it works. I gotta do it for myself. I now understand I'm not to care about what other people think or feel. Who cares? No one cares what I think or feel. No one loves me. No one's out here campaigning for me. So you know what? Cool. I got it. Forget this emotion thing. I'm gonna shut all that down. No, we're gonna do whatever is in our best self-interest, regardless of what happens to anybody else. This is the path that is taken through apathy, right? These people who are apathetic, they do not understand empathy. They do not have emotions in that sense. They don't, right? They're void of it. So they're able to make very, I don't know how to really put it. They can make decisions that we wouldn't normally make, right? And so because in their mind, unconditional love, this decision was made, it's not attainable from me. There is no unconditional love from me, from anybody else. So I'm going to then engage in what I have deemed and what I've called hyper self-love. Hyper self-love means you put and value yourself far above anybody else with no restriction, right? That just means I don't care what I have to do to love myself, I'm going to do it. So if that means hurting someone, that means violating somebody, that means manipulating somebody, that means using somebody, that means trading up in relationships, that means doing shady business deals, if that means whatever that means, if it means them loving themselves, and if you're in the way, you're just an obstacle. You're just a tool. You're just something to be used. When we're talking about people who are apathetic, and I'm gonna talk about the mental health disorders and the path towards that apathy, right? So that is apathy, right? That is what that is. That is what these people do, all right? They just don't care about emotions. They don't care about other people. They don't really understand, on the lower end of people like this, they just don't understand emotion. They don't understand why people will get upset or frustrated or anything about certain things, why they just don't understand it. And they can be very blunt and very cold. And let me also say this, not all people that become apathetic are like evil people. There are a lot of people who are evil, who are apathetic, but not everybody who's apathetic is evil. And again, I'll explain that as we go through this. So when something else we have to think about with apathetic people is relationships, right? For them, relationships are purely transactional. What can you do for me? What problem of mine can you solve? How can you help me elevate? And it's not about pride, it's not about boast, it's not about anything like that. There's like narcissists for stuff like that, and we'll talk about them a little bit towards the end because they get a little bonus disorder thing at the end. But no, these people, it's just about how am I going to benefit? If I succumb to if I submit myself to your system, how am I going to benefit? If I am friends with you, what do I get out of that? If I'm talking to you on the phone, what am I benefiting? If I'm in a relationship with you, what is my incentive? What is the thing that's going to get me to stay? Why should I stay? Why shouldn't I just go and be with all these different women and all these different men? Why shouldn't I just do that? Why should I be stuck with one person? Because emotions aren't it. So all relationships for them are transactional. These people don't really value life that much. When you start going on that spectrum, start getting to a certain degree and a certain point, life to them is not valuable. My life, your life, anyone's life. If you get in their way, then you are expendable. And I think it's very, very important for us to understand that because everything's transactional, everything's a business, that if you're in their way, if you're stopping them from getting that hyper self-love, you are expendable. And so one of the other things we got to think about as well, when it comes to these people who are apathetic, a lot of times they don't have moral restrictions. They don't have for instance, we may think, man, selling drugs is bad because it destroys the community and it hurts people and breaks up families and lives. They don't think like that. They don't think like that. For them, selling drugs, it's a good way to make money. It's very fast, very quick, very efficient. If I set up a good system, stay out of trouble, I can run this for a while. I can use that money to do this. I can use that money to do that. It's very transactional. The human experience, no. No, we're not worried about that. We're not worried about that. It can be very scary at times because these people are very goal-oriented. You'll find a lot of them in high-level positions. Why? Because they have no problem with morals. They have no problem with doing whatever it takes to get ahead. They're very focused. They're not tied down by relationships, right? So maybe me trying to build my business, I might slow it down because I gotta spend time with the family, I gotta spend time with the kids, I gotta spend time with the wife, whatever. Like, I gotta do that, right? For them, if they have a family, if they have a wife, if building the business and making the money serves them better, then I'm sorry, I'm not gonna be at your game. I'm sorry, I'm not gonna be home for dinner. I may be away for a while, I may be gone for a very, very long time. And you're sitting at home hurt and crying and sad, and they're like, bro, you gotta get over it, because like, I'm making money, I'm taking care of us, like that's what it is. And so, these people, they and again, if they don't understand emotion because they shut that stuff off a long, long time ago. They shut it off. Which leads me to my next point, because we talked about becoming invulnerable, right? If you guys go back and watch my videos, I have 2 videos talking about how to become invulnerable, right? How to become invincible to all outside attacks and what people say, what people do. I talked about that. They are also invulnerable. Again, making up terms, I would say they're negatively invulnerable, because they're not invulnerable for the same reason, right? Because we talk about becoming invulnerable by making sure we're open, we're true to ourselves, we're communicating, we're setting up boundaries, we're not trying to conform to the world, we do our own thing, right? And we're not concerned about what other people do, right? That's like the positive type of becoming invulnerable. These people are negatively invulnerable. It's different in the sense of, I don't care about what the outside world thinks, because I don't care about the outside world. I don't care what they think. I don't care what they do. Like, there's tools for me to use, ladder for me to climb up, steps for me to step up. Like, that's all they are. Like, there's nothing you can do or say that's going to hurt me or stop me. Like, I don't care about rejection anymore. It doesn't matter to me anymore. So there's really nothing you can do to stop me. There's nothing you can do to fix me. There's nothing, and we're talking about that as well, So they're negatively invulnerable. They're negatively invincible. They cannot be, harmed in that way. You can't hurt someone who doesn't have emotions, and you can't hurt someone's feelings if they don't feel, right? And that's what these people are. These people who are apathetic. You cannot hurt them because they do not feel. And be very, very careful with these people. So these people can become very vindictive, extremely vindictive. And that means if you do something to hinder them, if you do something to slow them down, to hurt them or anything like that, and they say, I'm coming for you. Like, they're coming for you. And maybe not just you, maybe you and your business, maybe your family, maybe your kids, your wife, maybe your mom, maybe your friends, maybe your dog. Like, they are literally coming for you, your bank account, like whatever it is. What are some of the disorders associated with apathy, right, that go down this path? And let me also say this. Just because someone has possibly started on this path doesn't mean they're too far gone. So I'm going to do a gradient, right, of disorders, and from the least and the ability to change soon and fix whatever's wrong with them and to not go down this path to the point of no return. And so the first disorder I'm going to discuss, I'll put that in the description below, a few key traits for these disorders, but I'm just gonna briefly touch on them. You can look at the different traits, you can look it up yourself. The first one is oppositional defiant disorder, right? These are those, and usually they're diagnosed in children, right? So this is like little kids, elementary school, slightly into middle school, right? These ones have trouble with authority. They tend to get in trouble. They tend not to take personal responsibility. They tend to violate others' space. And you're gonna realize that a lot of these symptoms are pretty much the same, and it just changes as they get older, and it becomes more systemic and becomes more problematic and more difficult to root out. So oppositional defiant disorder, they have a difficult time with authority. Now, what causes that? It could be abuse at home. Again, it could be that rejection and the problem's not being solved. It could be neglect. It could be not giving them boundaries. It could be enabling them. It could be a number of different things that creates that. Because remember, when we get hurt or traumatized, we don't get the chance to choose what dysfunction comes out of that if it doesn't get healed. Right? We've touched on the anger, we've touched on sadness, we're touching on apathy right now, but there are other disorders that could come out of hurt and trauma, right? These are some of the main ones as they are related to unconditional love, but there are other things that can happen as well. Opposition to defiance is one of the things that can come out of that hurt and that rejection. Now, again, if you get in there, if you fix the issue, if you get the parents on board, if you guys do what you got to do, you show this kid love, you give them stability and structure, then you could save them, send them on their way, no more apathy, don't got to worry about it, right? If you don't, if you continue to be a lazy parent or just not do what you're supposed to do, or whatever the case may be, you're working with the kid, you're not giving them the boundaries, maybe it's a teacher, maybe whoever it is, right? No one does anything to help this child. You then move them up, right? They get a little bit older and it's the same symptoms, it just becomes a little bit more extreme, right? And we call that conduct disorder. Same thing, defiance, don't really care too much about others, fighting, aggression, lying, no taking personal responsibility, stealing, getting into criminal activity, things along those lines. It starts to become more and more and more. And now at this point, they've gone a long time of being hurt. They've been rejected a long time, right? And sometimes it's that repeating cycle because they do bad things. People don't want to be around them. Because people don't want to be around them, they get more hurt and they do more bad things because they do more bad things, and so on and so forth. And this is what happens with conduct disorder, right? And so these kids, that hurt and that pain continues to get reinforced unless someone jumps in and saves his kid, right? Coach, at this point in time, they're usually in middle school, high school. If a coach doesn't jump in, or parents don't get right, or teacher doesn't jump in, or someone doesn't jump in to say, hey, kid, check it out, man. I'm gonna take you under my wing. I'm gonna show you that I do love you. I do respect you. I do show you positive regard. I want the best for you. Come under my wing. I got you. If no one comes along and does that, if this kid just keeps getting exposed to the criminal system and just thrown in jail and thrown in juvie and you're gonna be nothing and this, you're a criminal. We have then created a monster. We have created a monster because then it moves up to the highest level, which is antisocial personality disorder, right? So before it was a lot of this behavioral stuff. Now this has actually become a part of who they are. And that's so dangerous and so difficult to break that association. I'm gonna explain to you how difficult it is, all right? Because when you get deep enough in antisocial personality disorder, and I'm going to break it up in tiers. I know some clinicians and practitioners may not break it up in tiers like I do, but I'm going to break it up in tiers. These people are just everything I just said before, but they're not pretty much adults, and they really don't give a what, right? They really don't care about anybody. They are really going to do whatever it is they want to do. It's extremely difficult, not impossible. And again, I'm going to put it in tiers. So I'm going to say like a level 1, right? A level 1 antipersonal personality disorder. Antisocial personality disorder. Level 1 would be someone who's still hardened, but maybe you could still reach, right? It's gonna take some work, it's gonna take some therapy, it's gonna take some connections, it's gonna take some getting through a lot of mess, a lot of junk, reinstituting things in their brain and all that. Like, it's gonna take a lot. Manifestation and positive, it's gonna take a lot, but it's possible. These are the people who come back from gangs. These are the people who come back from doing terrible things in war. These are the people that just come back from doing some of the worst things, right? The most vile things. They come back and they change, they do something different, and they learn, and they give back to the community or whatever. They give back to their family, they change. But there is a point of no return. And that's why I said there's these different levels. And maybe this is a variation where I'm gonna say here, some people might think different. As I was looking up the definitions and the things you'll see, some things are different, because then when you get to like level 2, level 3, then it's what you have, in my opinion, like I said, if I put it at levels, you have your sociopaths at level 2 and your psychopaths at level 3, all right? Now, a sociopath has all those same things. So everything we talked about so far, sociopaths have that. However, they're, in my opinion, in my thoughts, they're a little bit more suave, right? They're a little bit more smooth, right? They're not as direct. They're not as in your face. They still don't care, but they're the ones doing shady deals behind closed doors. They're the ones that are facilitating evil and wickedness in other places. They're the ones that they just don't like, hey, whatever it is to benefit me, right? I remember one time I was watching this documentary. And in this documentary, it was about 9/11, and one of the guys was saying, he was on the phone, and the guy who was talking in the documentary was saying he was on the phone with this other guy. And the other guy was talking about how they were plotting for 9/11. And the guy was like, because he was saying, hey, we're gonna plot for 9/11, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do that. And, I'm gonna get this perpetual war in the Middle East. And yeah, we're gonna make a lot of money. And the guy he was talking to said, but aren't like people gonna die? Like, aren't bad things gonna happen? Like, a lot of people are gonna die in that. And the guy on the other side of the phone said, bro, what do you care? That's what he said. He said, what do you care? Your family's gonna be taken care of. You're gonna be taken care of. You've been making a lot of money. What do you care? Like, that's what these sociopaths do. So they're just as dangerous, right? They're just as dangerous, if not more, because as I said before, these people are very goal-oriented. They're very goal-oriented, and they're smart. A lot of them are very, very smart, very manipulative. They know what to say, how to say it. They can get anything from you. And especially if you're an empath, if you're empathic and you want to give, they will suck you dry as if they're a vampire and you're just some person that can't defend themselves. They will suck you dry. And so that's like the level 2, right? Sociopaths. A lot of them are in governments. A lot of them just doing like really, really shady stuff, high-level positions and things like that, like in a lot of high-level places, right? They make a lot of decisions, unfortunately. Then level 3 is a psychopath. Again, same symptoms, same everything again. I'm gonna put all this in the description, but these people just really don't care. Like, I mean, I know I've been saying that. You're like, Keith, you said all these people don't care. Yes, I know I've been saying that, but like, this is like another level of don't care. Like, like really, really don't care. Like, I will eat your face in front of your babies, don't care. I will, do horrible things to children, don't care. I will, just do completely evil and wicked things and not think twice. No remorse, no dang. Maybe I shouldn't have done that horrible thing or gut that person or whatever. And there's none of that. I want you to think of it like this. When we go wake up in the morning and we brush our teeth, we're not thinking anything. We brush our teeth, all right? You take a shower, right? You don't get up out the bed, use the bathroom, use the bathroom. There's no real emotion tied to that. For them, doing evil is exactly the same way. Them killing someone is no different than brushing their teeth. Them going to the bathroom, for them, engaging in like human trafficking, it's no different than us going to the bathroom in the morning. Like that's where these people are, these psychopaths. Like they're gone. Serial killers fit into this as well. Like I'm just gonna go on a killing spree. I'm going to find people, I'm gonna plot and plan, I'm going to kill them. Like psychopaths. These people have no remorse. The antisocial personality disorder, the sociopath, the psychopath, and also, by the way, from a clinical standpoint, a psychopath and a sociopath are also diagnosed with antisocial personality disorder. Again, I just put them in tiers just because it's better for us to kind of grasp the depravity as it goes up, right? So that's people who are apathetic. That's why this is the most dangerous path. Like these people cause wars and cause millions of lives to be lost on a regular basis, right? On a regular basis throughout history. That's what these people do. They don't care, right? No matter what, they just don't care. And that's why it's so dangerous. It's so dangerous. In the path of anger, in the path of sadness, yes, it can still cause damage. Yes, you can hurt, but the scale of damage is so infinitesimal, so small compared to what those who go on the path of apathy is. It's like, it's not even worth mentioning. It's like Godzilla versus an ant in a little egg. That's what it's like. And so I know we're going a little bit longer, but just bear with me because we're almost there. Because I'm going to tell you, because again, there are ways to save them before they get to that final tier. That's step 2, that's step 3. There's the tier 2, there's ways to save them before that. But it takes early intervention and a lot of consistency. So the first thing is, right, we're into application. The first thing is, you got to explain things to them in ways where they win, all right? Now, we know that adding value to others is always best. The more value we can add to others, the more we win, the more we get. So when we're explaining things to them, if we want them to do something, if we want them to do something for us, we have to explain it in such a way where they are going to win, where they're going to not win just in the short term, but they're also going to win in the long term if they adhere to what you're saying. Because remember, they can easily just say, no, it's easier for me to do bad. I get pleasure immediately. I can make money immediately doing bad. Why am I sitting here doing good? You have to break that down for them. You really have to explain to them and show them in a way that makes sense. It's gotta make sense. And I'm actually gonna jump to another point. It's a little bit further down, but I'm gonna jump to it because it ties in very well with this last one. The second point, right? The second one is apply to their logic, not to their emotion. Be very logical in your explanations. A leads to B, B leads to C, C leads to D, and that's it. Be very logical, very concrete, so they can grasp it, they can get it. So they say, hey, if I take my money and invest it in this property right here, I'm guaranteed to get this much money, and by the end of the year, I should have this much, correct? Then your answer should be correct. Don't go into it with the feelings and emotions and, oh, well, you're helping the community and you're gonna be saving a family and you get to get the kitten out of the tree. No. Because if someone that's evil comes along and says, hey, bro, listen, I got even a better investment. Come get these drugs up off me. And I got this whole plan where you can make this money. And they say, I can make it quick. Yeah, what that guy said you can make it in a year, I can get you that in a month. Bet, done. Doesn't matter. So apply to their logic and make your explanation strong so they can't refute it. Right? So it just makes sense, because doing good always pays dividends in the long run. Doing bad never does. So if you can break that down to them, you can get them to start changing and shaping their behavior in such a way where they're more pro-social. Third application, keep them around positive influences. Very, very, very important, right? Keep them around people who are doing the right thing, that are moving in the right direction, that are having positive conversations. Now, granted, again, these people don't understand emotions, so it's not going to be from an emotional standpoint. But if everyone in the group is doing well in school, and this person in this group, then chances are they're going to start doing well in school because they're going to see the benefits of that. Oh yeah, well, they get a little bit more mercy. Oh, they get to leave class early. Oh, they get to, come to school late, whatever. They'll start seeing those benefits that benefit them. And they're like, oh, well, then I'll do that too. I'll get good grades. I can do that, So make sure you're keeping them around positive influences, but be careful that these positive influences are not easily influenced, because if this person is a little bit off, they can then pull those positive people into the negative, or one of those positive people into the negative, and they will throw them under the bus. The next thing, strong boundaries. When you're dealing with someone who's apathetic, a sociopath, whatever the case may be, you've got to have strong boundaries. And if they cross that line, you've got to check them immediately. You cannot, listen, I understand you want to love, you want to give grace, you want to give mercy, you want to give second chances. Get it, understand it. I'm right there with you. I 100% understand, but not this time, because they don't look at mercy, grace, and all. They don't look at that as, man, I got a second chance. Oh man, I can't believe it. I got a second chance. Oh, I can't believe it. I'm not worth. They're not thinking that. If you don't check them and you just give them a second chance, you're like, should have got away with it. Sweet. That's it. Oh man, I got away. Nice. Let me see if I can keep applying to this whole mercy thing that they do. Because the thing is, they can learn about emotions, but not to use for themselves, but to use against you, manipulate you. So you gotta have strong boundaries. You already have strong boundaries, but you need to really have strong boundaries with these people and let them know, hey, listen, hey, bro, pause. It's not that kind of party. It's not that kind of party, right? We're not doing that. That's not how I'm treated, okay? And so again, you might be saying, but Keith, you just said earlier that these people are vindictive, so I didn't want to mess with someone like that, right? Hey, let him do or say whatever he wants to do and say. No, remember, I'm not talking about those that are far gone. The ones that are far gone, I'm going to talk about them at the very end and how we deal with them. These are the people who there's still hope for, but they need to be trained. They need to understand that I cannot cross those boundaries. If I'm going to benefit the way I want to benefit, the way it's been explained to me, I cannot violate those boundaries like that. So I need to operate in such a way with this person to maintain the relationship, because this relationship is benefiting me. Have the accountability and transparency. I'm going to go a little bit quick because I know we're kind of running over our normal time. So heavy accountability. Make sure there are bounds for these people to understand and a system for them to work in that works for them, that benefits them often, right? And make sure it's transparent, because don't put a person who's apathetic, don't put someone like that in a system and say, oh, that's going to benefit you. And you're like, ha, no, it's not. And you do these things behind closed doors. No. Because the moment they see that, remember, if they'll submit themselves to a system that they believe will benefit them, if they see another way that's going to benefit them better, they will take it. You gotta hold them accountable, give them those boundaries, heavy accountability, checks and balances to make sure that they're on the up and up. But also on your part, you need to make sure you're transparent to make sure that, hey, I'm doing the right thing. Just like I'm submitting myself to the same system I'm telling you to submit yourself to. That way they know they're congruent in everything they're doing. Like, okay, I see that. Okay, I see how this is working and how this is gonna benefit me because, and that's how it's benefiting you, right? Which also requires you to be on the up and up. So make sure you're on the up and up as well. And the last thing is provide stability. A lot of these people come from a lot of instability. ODD, that's oppositional defiant disorder, conduct disorder, antisocial personality. There's a lot of chaos and disorder in their lives. So provide stability, be stable in their life, be a rock to them, right? Now, granted, they're not gonna come and gush and mush to you, right? But they know you're stable. They know what you say, what you mean. They can read you like a book. They know. So be stable. They need that because they don't have that. I'm gonna tell you exactly what happens right now. If you're not stable, if they don't have a stable environment, they will take advantage of the instability in whatever environment they're in. That's just what they do. They look for those opportunities. Remember, they're goal-oriented, whatever it takes to get to the next level. And so if it's taking advantage of the chaos, they will cause a whole riot. Sit back. Be like, yep. And watch everyone go crazy and be like, yeah, I did it. I got that. I did that, So make sure they have a stable environment. Be stable. Be stable for them. Provide them with that stability. Now, what do you do for those who are too far gone? Your tier 2s and your tier 3s. Because they've learned the secret, not really a secret, but it's a lot easier to get ahead when you have no morals and no values and you don't care about anybody. And so you're willing to do everything and anything to get ahead, no matter how many people get hurt, killed, damaged, manipulated, used, violated in the way, right? One of my favorite movies is Star Wars Episode 3. There's a line in it, and it's perfect example of someone who turned into a sociopath was Anakin Skywalker. And you saw his transformation for the first 3 movies, but when he finally got to the point where he just could take no personal responsibility. He was talking with Obi-Wan Kenobi, and he said to Obi-Wan Kenobi, because Obi-Wan Kenobi was apparently in his way, and he said to Obi-Wan Kenobi, don't make me kill you. And then Obi-Wan Kenobi said, basically, you're truly lost, and I will do what I must. So I say all that to say, antisocial personality disorder, when dealing with someone like that, you must execute judgment, and you must do it fast, and you must do it quickly. You got to execute judgment immediately. If you have them in your grasp, you need to judge them and put them away. You need to stop the behavior immediately, because if you give them chance after chance, they will come back and do extreme harm and damage to other people. And that is how you deal with those who are too far gone to be saved. And if you're like, Keith, I thought you're supposed to be all Mr. Hopeful and everything like that. I am Mr. Hopeful and everything like that. But these people don't want to change. Like I said, they've got to the point where their heart is so hardened, they don't want to change. Therapy works only for those who want to change. And a lot of times it actually turns into a game for them. They don't want to change. And someone who doesn't want to change, who's made up in their mind that this is life, and this is the best way to live it, what do you do with that? All that's left is judgment. All that's left is justice. You have to execute it. It is your right, it is your duty. That's it, guys. That's the last path, all right, that comes out of rejection and hurt, and it's apathy. It's dangerous. It's very, very dangerous for their parents. Listen, do whatever you can. Love your kids, hug your kids, hold them accountable, raise them up right, so they don't turn into this. Because it starts in childhood. It starts in childhood, like I explained. Oppositional defiant disorder, and it only morphs and continues to grow from there. Conduct disorder, antisocial personality disorder. Then you got your sociopaths in that. Then you got your psychopaths in that. It's bad, guys. It's really, really bad. So please make sure you're doing your part to love people, be kind to them, be a helping hand, right? As you heal, help other people heal, reach out, just be kind and love one another, all right? Because a lot of these people didn't receive that, so they hardened their heart because they never believed they were ever going to get it. So that's it, guys. I know this was a pretty hefty one. It may be a little scary. Maybe there should be some scary music in the background or whatever. But anyways, guys, remember, like, comment, subscribe, share, put on the notification bell. Listen, we're going to be trying to drop these every single week. I'm working on that, working with my editor on that, working on my bank account on that. This stuff is not free. FCS prep. right, is real change right now. But FCS is improving the world by improving you. And hopefully you just got a little bit better from watching this video. I love you guys. Y'all stay tuned. Y'all take care. Have a great, awesome, and blessed day.